Hey, welcome
Oh, hey.
to the Sigma Show. I'm your host, Sigma. This is episode 49. And before I let you know who's joining me today, real quick, we'll go over what the topics for this week will be. First up, the internet has had some backlash for one Jeff Keighley based on his decision to kind of refrain from choosing a side in the Activision Blizzard situation. We'll talk about what he basically means by that. He did issue a statement after that news broke, so we'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about some legal troubles between Take-Two and the Joseph Fares studio, Hazelight, who made It Takes Two, and how they're basically fighting over that name, or rather, one has already fought and won in regards to that name, and what that means, like in terms of what Take-Two's doing, what Hazelight might be doing. And finally, tons of rumors flooded the internet very recently about how PlayStation is now working on a GamePass rival service, and what that can mean for a PlayStation version and what that can mean for the industry as a whole, which I think is very exciting news. And here to talk with me about these things today are JMate,
What up?
as well as Rexicon Jesse.
Well, that's me. Hi.
Welcome, guys. Yeah, we did take a little longer to start. That's because, if you may have noticed, Ash was supposed to be with us. He's in the chat, but is not in the call. Ash, what happened? Because I can re-add you to the call now if you're ready. Just let me know. But that was the holdup. We were waiting for Ash. Lampy with the Van Ash emote.
Yeah.
Yes, very fitting. Very fitting. Oh, you had technical difficulty. Okay. Fine. So are you good now? Like, are you able to be joined back to the call? Because then I can just add you back in. Yeah? All right. Let's do that in the first couple of minutes. So give me just a second. You guys, banter. Tell me how your week has gone while I set this up.
Talk about those games we're playing.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's jump into that real quick.
What games? A shit ton of Halo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For work. Yeah. Nick really wants the anatomy of Halo. Really wants the anatomy of Halo.
Are you doing like all Halos, like in like how they all have what anatomy they share? Or are you focusing on a particular anatomy or a
Well,
particular
we've recently just changed the scheduling. Hey, buddy.
There
We've
he is.
recently
Let's
just
get those names
changed
fixed.
the scheduling on anatomy. So originally it would take me, there'd be one a month. So we've changed it now, so there's one every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So the scope, we have to focus on like one topic rather than the entire game itself. So yeah, Nick really wants the anatomy of Halo. So I've just been playing that and then stopped playing it and played it on game night. So I'm getting a bit of a Halo overdose. I feel like I'm coming close to like.
Can you overdose on Halo though?
Oh, I mean, if you live and breathe it, like
Yeah.
I record it, then I have to go through all the footage, and then I have to write the script. And then on game night, when I stay up to like 3 a.m. in the morning, I'm just playing Halo.
All right, yeah, that does sound unhealthy.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. Just lots of Halo and Hot Wheels.
Is it just Halo Infinite you're doing the anatomy of?
No, I'm doing the anatomy of Combat Evolved. So the first one.
Oh, okay.
Specifically, well, kind of spoilers for what it's going to be about, but how it influenced the design of FPS games on console.
Boy, howdy did it.
Yeah, that's a good angle.
Yeah, so and then that kind of bleeds into the rest of the series and stuff. So it'll be all interconnected at some point, I guess. But yeah, that's me. Halo and Hot Wheels.
Halo and Hot Wheels.
What a mix.
That's a childhood just wrapped up in
Yeah,
rosy memories right there.
And I'm getting paid. It's living the dream.
Welcome to the podcast, Ash. How's it going?
It's going great.
Oh, good to hear.
Really sorry about that. I noticed too that at the same time you removed me was right when I messaged you, like, wait, Casey, I'm here.
Right.
So it was like perfect timing, just perfect. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I tried to give you some extra time. Like I didn't want to. I assumed
figured
something. But it's cool. Everyone's here now. But yeah, go ahead.
Yep, my phone was dead, and so I couldn't message you there. And I'm just like, PC, stop, work right, please. But yeah, so I am here now. I apologize. Also, is JMate? Is that it? It's the first time.
I was gonna have you guys be introduced to one another before we started. but now we have no choice. Also, Ash's camera has just completely gone dark.
Yep. Yes, it
The
did.
technical difficulty.
Yes, it did.
Oh my goodness.
And I know
All right,
why.
so while,
It's okay.
while Ash
I know
is
why.
handling that,
I actually know why. It's okay.
Jesse, why don't you let us know what you've been playing / watching this week?
I've been playing the Print a Million Zine game. That's been cool. But I've not been playing as much, but I have been trying to get like a little bit of Dead by Daylight in at night. And it's like I need to
Okay, yeah, you've been
relax.
talking about that a
play
bit.
Fun game. Man, that game's fun. It is not difficult. It is almost insultingly simple, and it's like, here's what you need to do to play the game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it really does a good job taking incredibly simple concepts and like 4 total buttons pretty much that you need, and making something fun and like very dynamic, and a lot of small changes make a big difference.
Huh.
Yeah. For sure.
Just knowing spacing, knowing like level design, like knowing speeds at which people move at, the different perks you get. But all you could do is basically run and like interact with a couple of things, like jump through a window or knock a pallet over.
Yeah, like game knowledge seems to be a huge part of that.
Oh
that
yeah.
experience. Would you say like knowing what abilities the kind of hunter has is important as well for the
Oh,
experience?
100%. Because
Yeah.
like I've been playing nothing but Pyramid Head as the killer. Because I was
So you're
playing.
maining Pyramid Head. Your Pyramid
Yeah.
Head main.
I was like, if I'm gonna play this game and I like this game, yeah, this is what I want. I love Silent Hill. And he has a ranged attack move. Basically, you have to do a little wind up. Where he
Mhm.
stabs a sword in the ground, and then if you attack, he swings it up, and like a bunch of like barbed wire and stuff comes out of the ground. So it's a ranged attack.
I heard
So
he
me
recently
knowing-
got a buff
To
to
his
his
butt.
butt.
Yeah,
You got,
got some
a pyramid
cakes.
head butt buff.
yeah.
What?
Like people complained that Pyramid Head's butt was not fat enough.
Yeah.
And so the devs
fair.
went, "Hey, you know what? We hear your cries. We're gonna give him that
Who
donk.
was the first person to post on Reddit with the title "Pyramid Head is not thick enough? Please fix"? I'm not sure whether we should be praising that person or
Yeah,
condemning them.
Crazy.
I'm of two minds
Definitely
about this
crazy.
because this is gonna sound like like that side of the internet. But if it had been a female character that this complaint had been levied at, I can't imagine it would be a similar response, right?
Yeah.
Like, I
Okay.
don't care. I personally do not care that they decided to do this. I find it funny. But I do think it would be an entirely different conversation had they said, oh, Tracer's butt is now too small. Fix it.
Well,
Yeah.
but to be fair, though, Pyramid Head is based off of something that already exists. So if it is too small based off the original work, then that's just a fact. Now for Tracer, though, and since it wasn't, at least for mine, I don't play Overwatch. Since she didn't already exist, for them to just be like, oh, what are you guys doing? Tracer's butt is definitely bigger than this in the comics, or Tracer's butt is definitely big. Then I'd be like, I mean, you can be upset all you want, but it's just a fact if it was true.
Well,
yeah.
they did the same thing to Snake. Snake is known for having cheeks, right?
He does have cheeks.
Buns of
But then
steel.
they nerfed his butt in Ultimate. They shrunk
I
it.
like we use the word nerf and butt.
You gotta bring that hitbox down. You gotta
Right, yeah.
you gotta slim down that hitbox.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. Real quick, I just want to say shout out to Grace of Athena. That's Rachel in the chat. She says hi, and also she was asking if Ash is okay. Ash is not okay, but that's besides the point.
Not okay. Not.
Oh, Pyramid Head thickness is canon.
Canon.
Yeah, she knows. It's canon.
Amazing.
But yeah,
But yeah.
exactly what Ash said. It's like if they took like Scorpia from what's the She-Ra show and made her like slimmer in a game, and it'd be like, okay, but she's not that small. Like she's a muscular, thicker person.
Right. Okay.
So kind of like that.
But I do agree. I do understand what you're saying too, Casey. Like if it is,
Yeah.
if it came up, especially for people who, because people like to jump in if they don't know anything about like the topic anyway. So plenty of people will be like, I have no idea who this character is, but I hear men saying woman butt should be bigger. I am upset that how dare these disgusting men ask for this thing, and they'll be like, but no, seriously though, her butt is bigger. And
Yeah, and to be fair, you can usually assume that men are being disgusting. Like that's a
They
fair,
are being disgusting because
that's a
men
fair
are
assumption.
disgusting. Men are disgusting, but sometimes it's based on a fact, and this would be it'd be like, hey, in the comics, she does not look like that. So
It's okay to be a disgusting male if it's based on fact. That's what I've taken away from this.
I feel like facts should override feelings at some point.
I'm with you. I'm here for it.
Fair enough.
We can acknowledge the feeling, but fact is still fact.
All right, does that wrap things up for you, Jesse?
Sure. I talked about Pyramid Head booty. I'm good for the day now.
You brought the real conversations in.
All right.
Oh, I do want to bring up
though. Oh yeah, go ahead.
In the loading screen when Pyramid Head is there, his butt is front and center. Like it kind of goes like a low angle because you're standing. The loading screen is like you standing over like the survivors, like hanging out at a campsite, and it is just like square.
They made sure they're
So he's posing.
Like rule of thirds, butt is right there.
Like he's doing a thirst trap pick. Like that's what he's doing.
That's exactly
Pyramid Head is IG thoughting it up. I like that. I like that.
The Dead by Daylight cinematographer who framed that shot is just like, fuck these guys. They made us make it thicker. Let's put it front and center.
We'll show you what we did.
Yeah, we'll show you ass if you want ass.
Rachel says, I actually saw the reverse of this in Fire Emblem Heroes. They actually lobbied to make a character slimmer because she was in canon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Honestly, there's a lot of in the Fire Emblem Heroes mobile game where they have like different art styles for some of the characters. I'm like, I don't remember. I think Tharja was a big one that people were like, she's not that thick. Granted, people make like those like figurine statues that you can pay hundreds of dollars for anime characters and stuff.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know what they are, Casey. I didn't say you bought one. It's okay. You
On the
know
other
what
side of
they
the
are.
camera. If we turn the camera, it's just all figures.
It's all
Doesn't even have a
figurines.
monitor.
But they made one for Tharja, and I know people were like, they liked it because of the thickness, but they're also like, but that's not what she looks like. She's much more slim. Fire Emblem definitely has a different art styles in that game.
So character accuracy winning out over internet horniness. Got it.
As it should. As it should.
That's a fair victory, I think.
Let's not act like they don't already make characters for that. Oh, sorry. For me, I mean, they purposely make fan service characters, so just focus on those. What have I been playing? It's been a very dry week for me. Past, actually, a couple weeks. What I've been wanting to put my time into, if I had it, I wanted to keep playing some more Forza Horizon 5 because I've enjoyed that. I wanted to try to play some more.
About Forza?
Yes.
What do you use as like your default? Well, not default, but like your driver settings. Because I find the default to actually be still too hard for me, and I'm wondering like if I should just make it much easier to have more fun with that game. Because I'm kind of upset that I suck so bad at the driving.
Dude, it's okay. Forza 4 was my first Forza, and I didn't come into that when it came out. I came into it like, hey, Forza Horizon 5 is going to be coming out in 5 or 6 months, and Forza Horizon 4 is on Game Pass. Let me see if I like Forza Horizon. That's literally it. So I haven't been playing long. And I can tell you from someone who mostly played Need for Speed, going into Forza, I was like, this is a completely different like driving mechanics for me right now. I'm not understanding. How do I drift? Like drifting was the hardest part for me to get used to on Forza.
Yeah, because it still kind of keeps a lot of that sim architecture.
Yeah, the simulation.
Like you can bump up all the stats so that you're really just controlling a car with a controller.
Right. So
but, it's difficult.
It is. I'll be happy to show you my settings that I use after the stream. If you like, I'll just send them to you. I'll send a screenshot. But I did change them a little bit. But I tried to keep it still close to that sim because I wanted to get used to it. And you get the higher reward value for it based off of each. So I'm like, I want the higher reward value, so I'll do that. So Forza Horizon 5. I was never a big Halo fan, but I tried it's Halo Infinite, right? That's what it's called.
Yes. Halo Infinite multiplayer, if we're going to be technical.
Multiplayer, yeah. I tried Halo Infinite's multiplayer, and I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of nice. I do kind of like it. I hate it at the same time because anytime there's a game where there's shields, I'm not good at it. I'm much better at what do they call like games like COD, like twitch shooters, because I literally just twitch my wrist. I aim at you and I shoot you before you shoot me and I win. I'm good at that. As soon as there's more thought process of, oh, they're not dying immediately. Oh, they're actually better at, like, they have much better accuracy than me. They're getting that headshot in way before I do. I'm already dead. So
have you heard of the SWAT game type? Because apparently they're going to be adding that to the Halo playlists before the end of the year. But essentially, it's no shields, and headshots with kinetic weapons will basically kill in a single shot. Looks like we lost G-Mate's camera just now.
He got tired of hearing
He's
that.
back.
He's like, how dare this man not be liking Halo?
Right,
but
like
yeah,
more Halo being introduced to his life.
SWAT, yeah.
Take it.
I'm
yeah,
all
it's
for
a game
that.
type that you can set up in custom games. Like we played a couple when we were doing game night just yesterday. But yeah, they should be adding it to the playlist. I'm hearing before the end of the year.
All right then. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so that I'll be playing that. No one ban Ash again. Ash has been playing Call of Duty Vanguard. Don't ban me. Don't ban me. Don't hate me. And yeah, I think that's basically what I've been wanting to play lately. I tried Battlefield 2042. I technically own it. It's okay. I do prefer Vanguard. And yeah, there we go. Those are the games I've been into lately.
All right, I can go next. J-Mate said his Discord just crashed, so we're just having all sorts of issues today. But he should be back on as soon as he can.
I should be back now.
Yeah,
I hear your beautiful voice.
Yeah, I don't see your camera.
Yeah,
yet.
I will put my camera up right now. I tried
There we
switching
go.
to headphones so I could just have you guys in headphones, and it just crashed Discord. I love my life.
Oh wow.
I think it's just one of those days. Yeah, Honey Money says it's a cursed stream.
Is the Pyramid Head
perfectly
cakes
fine,
have come
though.
to curse us?
Yeah, you don't talk
talked
bad
about
about
it.
Pyramid Head's body. He'll come get you.
I think that's canon to life, like just life canon.
Too much booty talk, says
Yeah.
Honey Money. I would argue you can't have too much booty talk.
I am with KC,
You can't have too much.
man of culture. Absolutely not.
Am I back?
Yeah, there
You're
we go.
back.
Hey,
So to wrap up what we've been playing, I honestly have not been playing that much, but I did just recently review a game called Chorus. You can check out the 3-minute review on The Escapist. It is really, really fun. I don't know how much you guys are into like dogfighting games or like space combat games or whatnot, but
That type of dogfight.
yeah, not the Michael Vick
like-
kind of dogfight.
I was like, whoa, wait.
But it's legit fun, and like they make it fun by changing everything you would know about like a flight simulator game, right? Like, you know how your controls are usually reversed because like up is down and down is up to get that yaw action going with airplanes. You know what I'm talking about? That yaw action.
yeah, I feel you. Yeah,
Y'all.
Anyway,
that yaw. Yeah,
instead of giving you that kind of control, all of your directional movement is on the right stick, and it's essentially you're controlling a cursor on the screen, and your plane kind of points in the direction of that cursor. So it feels weird at first because, you know, it's a plane; it should control reverse, right? But they put all the propulsion on the left stick. Like you push up on the left stick to move forward, you hold on the left trigger to boost, and then you hold on the right bumper to do one of the coolest things I've ever seen added to like a flying game is drift with the freaking spaceship. So like you turn, like you move, you whatever on the left stick, and then you're just controlling where you're shooting on the right stick, but that also is controlling where your plane is going in terms of its direction. And it feels super natural as soon as you get the hang of that. And it makes it so that when stuff is shooting at you or when you're trying to aim at things, it's like a complete disconnect of the fact that you're using the controller. It's like, this is what I want to do, and this is what's happening right now. Like, you never feel that kind of confusion that you sometimes have where you're in a plane and you need to, like, turn around to get a better angle, or what's my loop-de-loop button or something like that to flip around. But they also add, like, special abilities that fix those problems for you. Like, if you're trying to track a ship and it's getting around behind you, if it's on your screen, you can hit a button and literally teleport behind that ship. It'll put you right behind it, so you can then start shooting and doing lasers and whatnot.
nothing personnel plane.
Wait, say again?
Nothing personnel plane. That's a dumb joke.
I got
Don't worry
it.
about it.
I like it.
That went right over my head.
It's because I teleported over your head.
That's how that works.
Isn't
yeah,
the
like,
plane sentient in that?
Yes,
setting.
the plane is a character. It has
Oh.
it's an AI,
like
but
Kit?
it is like Kit. It's a lot like Kit. Like there's a
Love
ton
it.
of banter between the main character and the plane called Forsaken. She calls it Forza for short because they're buddies.
Oh,
But there's
I feel
also
like
a
that's
ton of
copyright.
Is it? Well, it's
I
not
do.
Forza. It's Forza
Okay.
because it's short
Oh.
for Forsaken, and it's so on the nose. Like this was the thing that kind of bugged me about the game's story. Everything is like just super in your face, on the nose, overly dramatic. Like the plane is called Forsaken because she literally forsake the plane. Like she left it and abandoned it because she didn't like what she did with it when they were together. It was like a toxic relationship that she left it like buried
It's like
in like a
naming
tomb
your
somewhere.
child. It's like
Dang.
naming the child you gave away for adoption. Just called it abandonment. It's just horrible.
Exactly.
Hey,
You're so
Ban.
on the nose.
Hey, Ban, good to see you again. I kind of need
Exactly.
you now. So
How's it going?
Right. But despite how on the nose everything is, that dynamic between her and the plane is actually pretty interesting. Like they have an untrusting, or at least the plane has an untrusting relationship with her at the start, and she has to earn that trust back. But you know they team up because their goals are aligned. Like that plane also doesn't like what's going on in the universe. It's like, look, I need to kill some stuff. You're my best bet at doing that, so we'll work together for now. And like that relationship was actually super interesting and kind of pulled me through the rest of the story, which was very cookie cutter, run of the mill. But yeah, those powers and those flight controls and the objectives that they give you, like the combat scenarios, the boss fights, all that stuff is super fun with the abilities and control that they give you over those space combat arenas. So like if you have the opportunity, definitely check that game out. If it sounds interesting to you, it's a ton of fun.
Okay.
Grace of Athena asks, I would hope she didn't know the plane was sentient.
Oh,
Did
no,
she
she
know
knew.
the plane was? All right, bye.
Right, that's the thing. Like that's kind of what makes it so messed
Wait.
up.
So she named it Forsaken after Abandoned. So she didn't. It was
See, that's
sentient
the
beforehand.
thing, right? Like yeah, like that
Didn't
doesn't
name
make
it.
sense. That doesn't make sense. I think it was called Forsaken before she forsake it, so it was kind of
Or it was
ironic,
forsook.
maybe. Before it was Forsooken.
It's
Forsaken.
but that doesn't make any sense. Like
It doesn't. It doesn't.
it's like getting a new partner and just dead face saying, "I will cheat on you." Like it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Oh man. Well,
But have you spoken about what she did? Because I watched a 3MR.
well,
and you
yeah.
mentioned
In the
earlier on-
3MR, it's the first thing. It's the first thing they tell you in the original cutscene, like the opening
Okay.
cutscene. She blows up a planet. Like so, a billion people die. Billions.
How? Like whoop.
It
Or
gets a little
like-
complicated, but because she's like this kind of, she's a chosen one. She has these psychic abilities or whatever. That combined with her connection to the plane, which is also kind of an entity that has psychic abilities, which is why I was able to be fused with the machine for some reason. Them together created this link to this extra dimensional entity called the Faceless. And when you open up a rift to their dimension, it causes a ton of havoc. They did that in front of a planet, and so the planet died.
J Mate's
Dang.
face the whole time. Just,
Wow.
It's some real sci-fi shenanigans going on, but the world is fun. The world is interesting if the characters in it are not. So like
Okay, fair.
you will have fun fooling around in that world, but you just may not give a damn about any of the people in it. That's all. Because I know
Honey-
I didn't.
Honey Money asks, does the plane have googly eyes so we know it's a character?
No, but he sounds a lot like a Master Chief to me.
Do parts of it light up when it talks? Like
Yes. Yes.
Yay!
Kit? Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm down. Now I think the game would be vastly improved if it was just David Hasselhoff in space with
Yes.
Kit, like a spaceship version of Kit, just like blowing up planets.
I
That would-
would not be mad at that.
Knight Rider 3032. Like,
I would not be. Ash, you just gave somebody somewhere the idea to reboot Knight Rider.
they don't even have to pay me. Just let me be like a tester for the game. Let me like give more ideas as you come up with it, and I'll be fine with that. You don't even have to pay me. Put my name in the credits. Don't pay me. That's all I
That's a
need.
good deal.
So outside of that, not too much on the games front. But watching a bunch of different shows. But I just finished season 3 of Disenchantment on Netflix. Has anyone been watching that or familiar with that show?
Oh.
What
saw
is
the
it?
first season when it came out.
Me too.
Yeah,
First season.
Disenchant. It's the most recent series from Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons and Futurama.
Nope. But I know what it is.
No? Okay.
Now that you
well,
said that, I think I remember the trailer and like what it is and the art style
Yeah,
stuff.
it's-
I got you.
like I'm a big Matt Groening fan. Like I really love The Simpsons. For a time. Futurama is probably like my favorite animated show ever, like in life period. And so I
Oh,
was
wow.
very excited for Disenchantment. The first season started slow and then actually really took off and went in some interesting ways. Second season was fine. Third season kind of jumps off a cliff
Oh,
In a
like-
good way or a bad way?
in like the worst way. It's like
Oh,
it
wow.
almost felt like they did not know where to take the story anymore.
Mm.
But
but they really like
they-
cashing those checks.
well, I mean the thing is they didn't know where to take the story, but also forgot to finish the stories that they started. Because like season 2 starts on some cliffhangers. And like rather than resolve any of that, they sort of like package it in a way that they can put it to the side and then kind of go back to like mundane, sitcom tropes, and then introduce new problems that by the end of the season 3, they still don't resolve. So there's a bunch of shit just waiting in the wings that no one has kind of addressed properly. And all the while, a lot of the smart writing that I've come to love from like Matt Groening TV shows seems to have been replaced with like weird monologues and seemingly improv back and forth between like two characters, and like not even important characters. It'll be like the main character and like a brand new side character that's just been introduced. Like, oh, this is a shopkeep, and they're having some kind of weird, awkward interaction back and forth because everyone thought it was funny when they just went off the cuff and did it in the studio, so we just put it in the show. Like that's exactly what it feels like, and it doesn't hit. So I ended up kind of, because I watched so much of it, I didn't want to watch it till the end, but just did it anyway because I'd come so far, and that's never a good feeling when you're watching the show.
That's sunk
Would you
cost.
Would you
Yeah,
say it
exactly.
feels like Matt Groening, the show as a whole?
It did, but
It
it did feel like him until it didn't. It felt
Maybe,
like
yeah. Maybe they're just using the name now to just.
I mean, it's his art style too, and I'm assuming tons of people can do his art style nowadays, right? So that's probably not.
Yeah,
so
he'll
much.
have a team of people working on it at the moment.
But
So
I don't know.
maybe they're just trying to coast on the name, trying to keep it going, cash those checks, as Jesse said.
Yeah, it's really
Let's get
disappointing
through
because
season
like it really showed me that there was potential there to make another like very interesting comedy show, and like they just botched it completely. But that's pretty much
Shame.
it for me.
What have we been watching?
We can move on, I guess, into our next topic, which
We do
is
have
sort of our
topics.
Activision Blizzard update. We do have topics, weirdly enough. So first topic is regarding Activision Blizzard, but not directly. This is actually heat being given towards Jeff Keighley. If you don't know, he is the person who basically cradles the video game awards as his baby.
Yeah.
He's like legacy, video games media. He's been on a ton of different channels and outlets and whatnot. But this is kind of what his bag is nowadays. He's the head of the VGAs. Like he hosts it every year as well, just to let you know that he's in charge. But
Make sure you don't forget.
But apparently they released a statement saying that they weren't gonna take sides in regards to the Activision Blizzard thing, which is a weird thing to say when one side is sexual abuse and pay discrepancy and all those things. That's not necessarily a side that anyone would willingly choose.
Right.
But to be fair, it seemed like he really just didn't want to kind of bring any of that negative energy to this award show. Like he wanted to focus on like the developers and rewarding the games and whatnot, is what he says. But
Wasn't it?
after some internet fallout, I want to say before we get into it, after some internet fallout, he did release a statement saying that like they don't condone any of the stuff that they've heard in the stories. They're in fully support of the developers and whatnot, but their goal for the video game awards is to just highlight the accomplishments of the devs and their works of art, so to speak. So like that's kind of his stance. Like he doesn't want to use, I guess, the platform to specifically call out what's been going on at Activision Blizzard.
that seems, in my opinion, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong because I can't remember it perfectly, that seems slightly hypocritical of him for how he reacted to Konami treating Hideo Kojima.
Hideo Kojima. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people brought that up.
And how he put his foot down there and he called them out. I'm pretty sure he called them out and got really shitty about it. Which, well, Kojima is his like
BFF.
the love of his life, right? He adores him, and
Kojima is
it
his
seemed
pyramid head, but
with that he can use his power and influence to take a stance for that, but not against sexual abuse or pay discrepancies, and something that arguably is a lot bigger than what affected Kojima. I think that's slightly hypocritical. I can see one side of it, which is we want to give all of the other developers a chance to show off their hard work over the past 5 years that they've been working on these things. I can completely understand that. But if you're going to take that stance, be consistent with it. If you're going to be completely impartial to it all and just be like, we're here to show the games, then be consistent. Don't pick and choose what you talk about based on how big the company is or if one of the developers is your best friend. This seems a bit weird to me.
Right,
That's just my personal take on it.
No, that's a really good point to bring up. So it just begs the question, what's his motivation for deciding to go this route?
Money.
What? I've never heard of this before.
Cash those checks, Jesse.
New?
I was gonna say because I definitely understand what you're saying too, Jermaine, because he did make a much bigger deal when it came to Kojima. I will say on the flip side of that, though, even though he did make that big deal, Kojima was banned from going to the Game Awards, which he obviously is his game show. He can let Kojima in if he wants, but Kojima was banned by Konami to go to the Game Awards, and he actually couldn't come. And Metal Gear Solid 5 still won 5 awards, or 4 or 5, something. It won a lot of awards that year. So as much as he was upset, they still showed up, and he let Kojima not get the awards that should have been. At least he'll be one accepting at most.
It was justifiable. I 100% like the way he reacted and the way he spoke out for Kojima.
I do wish he did speak out more.
100% justifiable. I completely agree with it. Yeah, Kojima should have been there, and he should have been receiving those rewards.
Absolutely.
But to do it for one thing and not the other,
and not for the other. That's why I didn't like when the article, when you were saying, recapping it real quick, AC, I didn't like how it was worded. The quote that they gave of they wanted to, let me bring it up so I can actually say it exactly again, because that's what I didn't like when I first. I'm like, what? That sounds weird. You can still say something without blah blah blah. But let me bring it up. I'm sorry, I didn't have the notes up anymore. I'm a bad person. Person. Yeah. They won't take sides, right? I'm like, that verbiage is what caught me off guard at first. Like, I don't understand how you can, like you were saying, how can you not take a side? You have a side.
It's a weird way to put it.
If anything, what should have started was what you, the minimum should have been what he said as the follow-up of saying like, hey, I do not condone or agree with any of this stuff. This is horrible. It needs to change. We're going to just try to focus on the games. If you said that in the beginning, instead of the won't take sides thing, I feel like it wouldn't have been nearly as bad of like an internet uproar.
Well, but I think it would still be an internet uproar.
Oh, it would have. I think it would have been less at least.
It was just
maybe
the choice of words was just something to easily latch onto, because that made it seem like in his head that there were sides to be taken. And there probably were. That's the problem. His head, because he has to deal with execs and connections from Activision Blizzard. And so he's saying they don't want me to basically lambast them. They don't want me to talk shit about them. Like, he's probably aware of that. So to him, that's their side of the story. And then everyone else's side, which is, being a decent human to your employees and stuff, is the other side. So he's saying, like, look, I don't want to tell them I'm not going to talk shit about you, but I'm also not going to tell you guys that I'm going to talk shit about them, because I don't want them to know that I'm going to talk shit about them.
I think I can see it from a certain point of view. Like, the way I think the verbiage was a bit odd, but the stance they're taking, I do kind of get it. Like, seeing what's happening with Activision Blizzard, they've done some horrific things, and more things keep coming out, and it's
coming out.
horrible. And there's large problems in the industry as a whole. But I have a lot of friends who, this is a complete different topic of boycotting and completely painting everyone who works at Activision Blizzard with the same brush. There are hundreds of really talented people who work there who have probably never even dreamt of doing these horrible things, and could potentially have their careers completely scrubbed out because of the way we're painting an entire company. It's the higher ups and the executives that are the problems, the ones that need to be removed and taken out, and the individuals on each level who are doing these horrible things. But I do agree with Jeff to a certain degree, on the sense that there are loads of talented people who've been making these pieces of art for us to enjoy,
and worked really hard too. Yeah.
All of that work and all of that love they've put into it ruined by the horrible actions of their superiors. And to be like, we still want to show this off, we still want to get people excited about these things. There's two sides to that coin, right? We're bringing more money in for Activision Blizzard executives who are horrific. Not all of them, some.
Some.
But it's also we want to still show off what these guys have been making and what they've been trying to do. So it's like, what do you do? In a way, there is kind of two sides to that coin, two stances you could take on whether you do or not.
Yeah. I definitely think he should have just been more upfront on how he felt about the actions, and then still say, even with that being said, I would like to still showcase the games for XYZ reasons that you basically just said, Jermaine. I feel like that would have been, at least for me, I'm sure some people would have still been mad, and they're okay it's okay for them to be upset. You can feel whatever you want. For me, I would have been like, okay, he said, like, hey, I don't like this. That's horrible. I still think that for some of the people who weren't doing those things, they deserve that recognition, or the potential even, because they might not even win. They might just get nominated. I'm sure plenty of people might not vote for Call of Duty Vanguard, regardless if they even like the game or not, or even played it. They just want to make sure something else wins other than Call of Duty. Like that could happen. Like it's whatever.
And revealing new games as well. Like the Game Awards has become more of an advertisement than an actual award ceremony nowadays. And being able to show off these new games that people have been developing is a huge part of it. And I guess Jeff is being pushed through a PR team as well. Like what he said was probably scrutinized over by a team of people to make sure that it's not painting certain people and certain companies in a bad light. So
probably
I would have appreciated it. I agree with just a little bit more. We're going to do this, but like, make your own decision. If you don't want to buy these things, everyone has free will. Like, they can show a trailer for the new Blizzard RPG that they're making or whatever. It's up to the consumer to decide whether the lines that Blizzard have crossed is too much for them to boycott it or not buy it or not care.
And there's also been debate on whether, on the consumer side, that's an effective strategy to rally against what Blizzard has done as well, right? Like, because there's a ton of people who just don't know about this stuff. Like, they care about the next iteration of the game that they're going to buy, and when they see that that's on the shelf, they go and buy it. They don't know that there's all this heat behind it.
Right.
So, like, that's me not buying a thing. Like, I was already not buying much of Blizzard's output, Activision Blizzard output. So, like, the fact that I care about what's going on with the employees doesn't actually matter to their bottom line that much. So,
very true.
It's a weird position. Like, Jeff has a show to run. If there's money involved or other executives who maybe aren't even involved with, like, the more seedy stuff on his board, because I know that, like, the president of his VGA council is an Activision executive or something as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I don't know if that particular person is also implicated in any of the stuff that came out. Like, I haven't seen. But either way, like, if that guy is innocent of most of this stuff, is it fair to also, like, throw him in the boat with all the other nonsense? Like, I don't know. Like that's the problem with how big Activision Blizzard is and how corrupt that company is. Like, all the places that they touch in the industry are now affected.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily fair to Jeff Keighley to have to deal with it, but like it's the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
he does have
suck
a
your
certain
reality,
sense
but
of
that's what it is.
responsibility.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's definitely a tough place to be in. Like I don't want to paint him as being heartless or conniving or greedy, like money hungry, whatnot. Like this is his baby. It's a project that he's wanted to do for a long time. He's got it off the ground. His pace, like every year, the VGAs do better than the last year. They get really huge announcements every. Like I'm sure he's very proud of the work they put into that show every year. So
Yeah.
for this thing to kind of take the wind out of the sails of this being like a big event for him, probably really sucks, right? But on the other hand, that's a very selfish way to look at it when there are people's lives being destroyed by the connections you're making, right? So, like, I don't know. Like, I can definitely see it from both sides, and I don't know what way is actually the better way. There probably isn't a best,
I think
way to
either
navigate
way-
this.
Either way is nobody wins on either side. Like people's lives have been and are being destroyed by the horrible actions of certain individuals. But also, if, like I said before, if we paint an entire company with the same brush, we are also actively destroying their lives as well. Their entire careers are being destroyed because of actions that they have never dreamt of taking. So either way, if you completely say we're not showing any of this, or we say we are showing all of it, either way, people are losing. Like there's no right way to go about it, which is like you said, I don't envy
Yeah,
the situation Jeff is in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
Lampy's saying there's a lot of people who don't follow games news, but do watch the Game Awards. So he would be elevating Activision without context of their actions.
It's fair.
So yeah, just like Lampy's saying, if he did the opposite, before he shows off their stuff, he says, hey, we know there's a lot of stuff happening at Activision right now, but we're going to show this stuff for the devs who are there. That would probably still be exactly what Activision doesn't want. That would be him taking a side against them, and whatever happens to his connections would basically be him taking a stand like he did against Konami, who I'm assuming he probably didn't care about burning Konami bridges because like Konami probably wasn't helping him out.
They're just
all
not
that much in
making
the
games
first place.
anymore. They're just
Right.
Pachinko machine.
Yeah, that was probably a much easier bridge to burn. To be like, oh, what are they going to announce? Pachinko machines? Get out of here! I don't care. So
Fuck that bridge.
yeah, it's harder because this does seem like that definitely was, as you were saying, an easier bridge to burn while taking the moral high ground.
Mhm.
Where this is a way more complicated situation, and like ultimately, yeah, I think you should take a stand on like we should not support this. We should stand against it. We should work to be better, and started with that because even that on its own is thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer, but
Well, was the statement release enough? That's my question, because I think the stance he's taking is kind of okay, which is I don't agree with what's happening. I don't agree with the actions that have been taken, but I want to show off the effort that the developers have put into making these games.
Mhm.
But was this just releasing a statement about it enough? Because like Lampy was saying and Casey was saying, not a lot of people are going to know about this stuff, but a lot of people still do watch the Game Awards. So if he said this just before the reveal of a big new Activision game, there's been a lot of stuff happening. I do not stand by this. I don't like this, but we're going to show this for the developers, the people who have put their effort and love into this, and that's why we're showing it. I feel that will bring the things that these higher ups have been doing to light to a lot of people, get people actually researching it. And that's really positive for the industry, drawing more attention to it, but while still taking the other stance of I still want to show off what these decent people have been doing. But
Yeah, I mean,
think
that's definitely
you need more than a statement to do that.
Yeah, and I feel like a statement just before these reveals is probably all we'll get. Like I feel like at this point, because he's been kind of raked across the coals for a little bit on the internet, I don't think they'll ignore it entirely, like which was maybe the plan beforehand. Like where they wouldn't say anything and just go on as if nothing happened. They'll probably say something if they do in fact have any Activision news or reveals and stuff to show. But yeah, I don't think it'll be much more than just a thoughts and prayers type acknowledgement of the events. But I mean, that'll probably be enough to get some people who weren't paying enough attention to say, hey, what's he talking about? And maybe go look it up. Whether that'll change their minds in terms of buying the next new thing, who knows? It's ultimately kind of a wash in terms of the effect. Like, what Jeff Keighley decides to do at the Game Awards will not solve the problem at Activision Blizzard. Like, it's just not going to be the case.
Very true.
So to put all this pressure on Jeff Keighley, I feel is kind of unwarranted, but I get it. I get
it.
why he's being looked at in this way because of the decisions he's making, but ultimately, it's not really his problem. Like, I can't, like, we cannot put all this on Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley had nothing to do with this shit.
Nothing.
I think you're right that it's unfair to put it all on him or to say you have the power to solve the problem because he does
Right.
not.
Yeah,
But
like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, but I do think similar to the Kojima situation where if something matters to you, you should leverage your position to make the world a better place. Like, if I retweet something because I'm like, I support this, like, please look at it, this is important. That's a thing that, okay, yeah, a few people will see it, sure. I'm not that popular, but it is me trying my best with what I have. And if that means something to someone in his position, he should still be trying his best with what he has.
Okay, so you're saying it's kind of a window into his personal feelings towards this thing. Like, if he cared more about it, he would want to do more about it if he could.
Right. And I don't know exactly, like, I know people were talking about it's in the chat, they were saying like they cut deals with like Tencent and probably other companies, and so there might be, and I don't know if that's true, probably is, so there might be like specific contractual things that he cannot say, like legally he would be breaking a contract to say a thing. So I can't say what the correct action would be or what even he physically or legally can do. But I do think there's something that he should be doing given the position he is in, and that he does care so much about the art form, and that the people are the ones making it. And if he wants it to continue and be better, then he needs to support the people making it.
I think contracts was a good thing to mention there. Like, I think there's two Jeffs. There's Jeff Keighley, the man who has his own personal feelings and who probably stands against all of these things that have been happening. And then there's Jeff Keighley, the host, who is under a lot of contractual obligations. Like, there are clauses in contracts which are, if you do anything to damage the brand or damage our company, you can instantly be fired. So
Or sued.
if he says something bad against the companies he's hired by, his entire operation could be shut down. So it's a lot more complicated for him. But then him, like you said, using his platform, say on Twitter, and what he has personally, he should be using that. I agree.
That's when they add that little subtext that says Jeff Keighley does not speak as the representative of the Game Awards. You know, they just add, he is not the voice of the game. Like, you know, It, honestly, too, like the contract stuff and everything, like you guys are saying, just to kind of wrap up my last thought, me remembering the fact that Kojima could legit be banned from the Game Awards, even though knowing that Jeff is the producer and host of the Game Awards, but he still could not get Kojima into the Game Awards. It's kind of weird to me.
No, it was Konami is who barred him from going to the Game Awards. Like,
but I mean,
because
like,
Kojima still worked at Konami at the time, Konami was like, you can't be there. It wasn't the Game Awards that said.
That's how that
it wasn't
worked?
the game. Yeah, Japanese companies. I don't know.
I get that. Maybe that must be it. Maybe that's a culture thing. Because in my mind, like, I'm already quitting. What you finna do to stop me? And I'm gonna walk right in, and I'm gonna be on stage with Jeff. Like, what's up, Jeff, my boy? What's up? Like, I make a whole petty scene. I wish Kojima was black. He would have made a petty scene. It would have been great. It would have been great. I mean, great. All right, that's it. I'm sorry.
I mean, the one final thing I guess I'll add to this is a lot of people will say of people who do have bigger platforms, you should use that platform to do the right thing, right? And the right thing seems very cut and dry for everybody. But when you're in that position, there are a lot of things that that platform basically provides for you. Like maybe your family is living a certain life because of it. Like you're living a certain life because of it. Like you need those relationships and structures to keep doing your dream or whatnot. Like that stuff is very important to an individual. So I just find it a little disingenuous when folks kind of don't care that for him to do this, for anyone to kind of go against the grain of like maybe the mouth that feeds them or whatnot, would basically upend their life for the moral high ground just because someone who doesn't have to deal with all of that says that that's what they should do. That just feels a little disingenuous because like if they were in the same situation, they'd probably struggle the same way and it wouldn't be such an easy snap decision. So that's all. Like I'm not saying he's right or wrong for doing any of this. I just feel like he is in a very difficult position. And if the people who are yelling at him, and it's not everybody, but if there's some people on the internet who just say like, oh, you don't do the thing I want you to do, you're a bad person. Like if they can't put themselves in another person's shoes, then like, no, you're the bad person. Like that's what empathy is. Like you have to understand where everyone is coming from as best as you can. Like it's not a black and white, right and wrong situation 100% of the time. It's just not. So that's all I would ask is just do some research, think about how everyone is affected by what's going on and not just how you personally are affected by what other people are doing. That's how I feel.
And one quick thing, Jumbly Wombly asked, why are even the Game Awards run pretty much by the big publishers? If I'm understanding, Jeff basically took all the connections he had over the years of being a journalist and then just brought different publishers and stuff together to then host the Game Awards. Is that correct? That's what I remember when I was younger hearing, that he basically uses connections with all these different companies to have them like be a part of him producing and hosting the Game Awards as a showcase for video games, right? Like how you say how like Activision has somebody as like the president of it. They basically have a bunch of different publisher heads and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like they had to get those companies involved because that's how they get the attention of the public, right? Like they make the games that people care about, so you got to get them involved. Like if Nick mentioned something about this on like the last breakout or so, like maybe 2 breakouts ago, about how if it was a show that was focused on just the indies, like you wouldn't have as big of an audience because like they just don't pull as many casual viewers as a freaking Call of Duty or an Assassin's Creed. So like it was all part of making an award show that could be as big as the movie awards or the TV award and whatnot. And that was his goal, and he's succeeded in doing it. And like he's been running it successfully for a while now. This is a huge wrench in getting that done smoothly. And Lampy's asking Casey if the sponsors of the VGA, I guess is what he's referencing, won't let him.
Well, technically, it's just called the Game Awards. The VGAs where it was on Spike. That was like the old one he used to host back on Spike TV.
Oh, so they don't call it the VGAs anymore?
It's the Game Awards. The Spike Video Games Awards was 2000, like 2013. And then like that next year he started the Game Awards. Yeah.
These are 2 different things.
I mean, they're the same thing, but I guess the title belongs to Spike.
Yeah, I learned.
And then once that was over, Jeff was like, I'm starting my own thing. I'm going to make it better. That was his,
but he says if the TGAs won't let him say it, doesn't that show that they don't care about this stuff? Like that's what I'm getting at. Like it doesn't necessarily show that they don't care about it. It shows that there's stuff that might prevent them from saying what they want to say. Like it could be a lot more complicated than just they don't care because they're not talking about it. Like people can relate. Like I'm sure you've been in a situation with like a superior in your workplace, or even like an older person in your family where they say something dumb and you can't just say like you can't just say what you want to say in response because like there will be ramifications.
Yeah.
And it's like the ramifications outweigh the moral ground that you're going to stand on right in this moment. And it's like, you know what, it's not worth it for me at this moment. And that's fine to make that decision. Sometimes. That's all I'm saying. But we'll move off of this for now. There'll probably be more stuff on this Activision Blizzard. Like
I'm sure.
Never ends the story.
But
we'll move on to this weird legal situation between Take-Two Interactive and Hazelight and their co-op game, It Takes Two. Apparently, Take-Two has been on a rampage in terms of filing copyright notices and whatnot stopping things that have the word Rockstar in it, social club stuff that has Take Two apparently in it, and forcing these other entities, companies, institutions from using any of those words because it relates to stuff that Take Two Interactive owns. And the latest victim has been the game It Takes Two. They've lost the rights to the name. They cannot use the name It Takes Two.
Oh,
I freaking
anymore.
hate this.
I hate it so much.
I don't know the legal stuff. I am not a lawyer. I don't know. But like, just you have a company that is a name that is an incredibly common phrase. Take Two. Okay? You can't, legally should not be able to get upset when someone else uses a similar common name. Like, It Takes Two. An incredibly common phrase.
Yeah, it's a common phrase.
Dumb.
That's what's crazy about it.
That's
Right?
in a song, a popular old song too. Like, are you gonna?
Because it's everywhere. It's a super normal, popular saying. Like, it's like, just, this drives me crazy. Because other things have done it too. I remember Bethesda did it for a game that had like scrolls somewhere
Yeah, it
in
was
the
called
title.
Scrolls. Right, yeah.
And like, it's an object. It's a thing. You don't have the rights to the name of this way that parchment is. Like, you shouldn't. That's dumb.
But
This drives me so wild.
Depends on the judge, right?
What?
Depends on the judge, because this is gonna these are gonna have to be taken to copyright. Like
But it shouldn't.
lawyers.
It shouldn't
judge
count
doesn't
on the judge.
get-
It just shouldn't be a thing.
No, I
that
can.
they can
I
do.
100% agree. But depending on whether these things actually go through and they do get this legal ramification for using those names, it all depends on the judge. If the judge doesn't understand what games are, they would just see so we have a game company called Take Two Interactive and another game it's called It Takes Two. They'll just go, oh well, they're both games and those names are similar. Oh, that's too similar. We can't do that. But someone who actually understands the process of games and what they are and publishers and individual titles, they'll go, well, that's completely different. These aren't the same thing. They're not copying the other person. So it depends on the judge.
Yeah, and I want to bring up some of the stuff that Lampy's mentioned, and he's saying what we were saying is not true. They withdrew their application for a trademark, and we were talking about copyright. This is referring to trademark. Those are different things.
Those are different.
And Lampy says It Takes Two withdrew their application for a trademark. But the reason they withdrew their application for a trademark is because Take Two Interactive challenges any use of Take Two trademarking. Like, that's why, because they would have to go up against Take Two Interactive to get their trademark. So that's why they withdrew it. But the thing is, Take Two does this, not like, this wasn't like targeted specifically at It Takes Two. I think they just kind of have like this constant barrage of sending out notices to stop the use of specific words like Take Two, Rockstar, Social Club, blah, like all these other things that are related to their company. They just kind of had this blanket initiative to make sure nothing else shares that name. And like a small company like Hazelight, they just probably just don't want to get into it.
It sucks. Like,
because there's
leveraging your power like that to scare people.
Yeah, because there was a lot of other examples in that article too, of people who did the same thing. Like, they backed out of trying to get a trademark.
Right, and they're not all games either. Like, so one was like a tattoo parlor, I want to say.
Yeah.
That was called like Rockstar Tattoo or something like that. Like, that's nothing to do with games, but because you see this competition of this big massive company would have word with us should we try to trademark this, they just back away because like they don't have the resources to deal with it.
Axe throwing, Rockstar Axe throwing was the one that is trying to oppose Take Two's trademark grab. Axe throwing, very very synonymous with Take Two and the many games that they create. Axe throwing, very synonymous. Same thing.
It was Rockstar Axe throwing.
Yeah, you're right. It's Rockstars 'S. So clearly, it belongs to them, and they should go for that trademark. That's what I'm I'm getting from this.
It's like it's a deterrent. But the thing is, Take Two's appear like because a lot of companies do this, but Take Two seems to do it at an extreme level that is kind of unheard of in the industry. My question is why? Like, is there anything you can think of as to why they would want to edge out any and all connections to like these words?
They
Like,
really
Rockstar's
want
their
the
biggest developer, right? The Grand Theft Auto
Yeah.
series is their biggest game.
I guess they want whenever someone says Rockstar, they want them to only think of Take Two's company Rockstar and Rockstar Social Club, and yeah, that is really intense. I do
Yeah.
feel bad because Joseph Ferris is one of my favorite people, just in general. He's one
Yeah,
of my favorite
he's a
people.
fun guy.
He's
There's-
he's
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh,
No, that's fine.
there's a lot of reasons for them to do it that normally all circle around the drain of money, but like a a possible method is like they're trying to buy brand recognition. Like if you have something like Kleenex where it's like it's been around for so long, that's what we call a tissue, but it's a brand. If
Mhm.
you can edge out everybody else using the word, then now you have the association with this incredibly common thing, like Rockstar. And now you're essentially buying brand recognition by uh, shoving everyone else out using court cases and money.
Yeah, and there's so many different reasons for why you would do it, like for protecting the brand or trying to get brand recognition or something like that. But in this case, with everything they've been doing with companies that aren't related to games and or vaguely similar, it just seems like a pure scare tactic just to get those things, that brand recognition and protecting the brand, which just seems a bit excessive in my eyes. Because it's not something. It's if it was the title of a game that was sold, it would make sense to me. But these are company names. There's the use of Rockstar, which is the company that makes Grand Theft Auto, is Take-Two
Right,
Interactive, who publish all of those games. That makes no sense to me. Nobody goes around saying, "Oh, did you see the latest Take-Two game?" Like, nobody cares that you published it. It's usually a detriment. Like, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. If it was they were copyrighting things that said Grand Theft Auto in the title or were associated with those things, it would make complete sense because that is a brand for the product. But
Mhm.
I don't really see it. I think it's really strange.
Lampy says trademarks have industry scopes. Take-Two hold those trademarks in gaming and are trying to protect that. They can't prevent people registering that mark in other industry sectors. But in a weird way, they kind of have, I feel like because like if people try, because like these were like companies that don't have anything to do with gaming, but in a weird way, because Rockstar makes Grand Theft Auto and Grand Theft Auto is like a city simulator, there are tattoo parlor shops in Grand Theft Auto. I feel like that does sort of run up against an actual tattoo parlor that would have Rockstar or Grand Theft Auto in the name. Like, could they then argue that that's tangentially related? Like, oh, they're trying to piggyback on the fact that we like we have a cool tattoo shop mini game in our game, so like they want a name that's similar to our name, and they say, granted, they're related to the game. Like that's what it feels like. Because it doesn't make sense that they would bully out like a company or like an axe throwing business, but like you can absolutely see an axe throwing mini game in the next GTA. Like that's not far fetched at all.
According to Lampy, apparently those companies and their trademarks had gaming in that trademark, so they had to exclude gaming from their trademark, basically. And it says they're the ones that they updated their application for their trademark to exclude gaming, so they were granted those appropriate trademarks. How does that work for It Takes Two? Because you can't exclude gaming from that one, can
Yeah,
you?
you can't.
Like, how does that work? I mean, you
Also,
can.
that's the thing.
Like, what's the point?
Well,
if you do,
I wonder what sort of ramifications that has for those smaller companies too, because like if you remove it from like an axe throwing thing, but then you lose like thinking about it in like metadata terms, like as a gaming thing that you won't show up essentially in like searches or something for someone looking for that, and you don't show because you don't have that in your thing. I'm not sure. I'm curious about why that matters so much and how it would affect them. I don't actually know. And I don't know if any of you know, and that's okay. But I am curious
Yeah,
if
I'm not sure. Yeah,
it
it's
would hurt them more.
Right, because I get what Lampy's saying about like, okay, so they hold Take-Two holds the trademarks in gaming, so that is their trademark for gaming for Take-Two,
like it's
and
their
like
sector.
Rockstar stuff.
You can't take the stuff we've named in this sector.
Right, and I
If
get
you're gonna
that.
try to be in the sector, it makes sense.
It's just weird for me for something like It Takes Two, which is literally a video game. Like I get, like rock throwing can be considered like a game that you're doing, right? I can get that one. All right, I can follow along with it.
You can
IRL.
compete in axe throwing, and that's,
You can compete it.
It's a game.
It's a game. But like for the game, It Takes Two. I'm like because I don't like I said, like you were saying, Jesse. I don't know how it works for like the point of having that there. I get they want to protect that trademark, but what is It Takes Two supposed to do for a trademark? Like, what are they supposed to do to trademark the name It Takes Two?
They just can't use the name.
I'm
I'm surprised they got that far. Then, like they named the game, they released the game, they sold the game.
I'm not.
And
Joseph
then,
was probably said,
yeah,
Rockstar. Joseph said Rockstar and just went about it.
I think regardless of it's trademark or copyright law, I think it just comes down to the if they were to take it to court, the judge that was presiding over it. There are ways, like you were saying, there are ways to connect axe throwing and tattoo parlors back to Rockstar games. There are ways to connect those threads. That lawyers can do that. They can find these avenues to go down to make sure that their client is right. And then it's up to the judge to decide whether that is actually okay. I reckon if they went forward, It Takes Two, the game, would win the battle. But it's just so expensive to get to that point, and they don't have the money to get to that. So they're just like, oh, fuck it. Let's not go for that trademark. Because I reckon they would get it, because I think they are different, because it's a publisher and specifically a title, which is different. It Takes Two.
But yeah, I mean, what you're saying makes sense, and I just feel like law doesn't always. So like, I'm not as confident that even if they did have the resources to fight this, I'm not at all confident that they'd come out the other side and be like, all right, now we've hashed it out. Like, that's the publisher. This is a game product. Everybody goes home happy. Like, nah, it'll be messy, and it'll like set a weird precedent where you can't name any game after any publishing company now. Like a game called Activation will get challenged by Activision.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's the right decision to back out. I completely agree with what they've done.
Yeah, like I get why they wouldn't want to bother.
Yeah.
One last quick thing that granted, I just Googled it, so I'm not an expert. But I was like, let me actually just read like what is a trademark, right? I was like, let me make sure I follow this. So it goes to trademark protects a good or service offered by a company from infringement or damage of reputation by another company. And then but what got me was, with a trademark, you have legal recourse to sue another company that uses your likeness to further their own business ventures, and that includes both registered and unregistered trademarks. So even if It Takes Two doesn't register as a trademark, they can still be sued anyway by Take-Two? Is that what I just read?
That probably
makes
makes
sense. And the same for the tattoo parlor and axe throwing, because they're trying. Well, they could be using Rockstar's name to further their brand and get recognition from that.
So unless they do register and purposefully exclude gaming, they can be sued.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. And so in this instance, since It Takes Two would not be able to register and exclude gaming because it is literally a game, they have to abandon the name. Like, they can't sell that game anymore by the name It Takes Two, I believe.
Well, we haven't. What if we've heard that they've stopped pursuing a trademark for that name?
Yeah, that's as much as we know so far.
They may still be able to continue selling it under the name, just not able to trademark.
Lampy says they don't have to abandon the name, but they can still be sued in that case.
Because they just be right? They could still be sued. That's why I was confused about.
But who knows if Take-Two would actually do that, right? Like, Take-Two may not actually care. This is just the web of stuff that they have out in the universe to stop people from, actually using their name. Maybe the lawyers don't care.
Yeah.
But who knows? That's on them. We can move off of this topic because the law. ...
You know, you've heard of it.
So we'll move on to our final topic, which I personally think is super interesting. I've been banging this drum for years. PlayStation is working on a Game Pass rival service. Finally, they're taking this whole Game Pass thing seriously, and they want to try and compete with what Microsoft is doing. What are you guys' initial reactions, and how do you think Sony will fare should they enter this market?
If it could be on PC, I care. If it can, I don't care.
That's interesting.
After my own heart.
So you don't care about this if it's exclusive to the console. Like you're saying it can't compete with Game Pass since Game Pass also covers PC.
Oh no, it might be able to compete. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying my PS4 is literally right here. It's not even plugged in to be in sleep mode anymore for the past 7 months because I've just been on my PC. Until I get a PS5, and even then, the PS5 still isn't that worth it to me because of the current next gen games out on it that I could either play on PS4 or I just don't care about them. So I'm just like, I don't care. I just want to play all my games on my PC and not have to buy other consoles anymore. That's what I like. That's why I like Game Pass. I'm like, oh, I don't have to get an Xbox. When they drop that new Fable, I don't have to buy an Xbox One X. I can just play it on my PC. Sweet. I'm saving money. I can focus on one thing. Minus Nintendo, but Nintendo's fine. I'll buy their consoles. I like their
Nintendo
gimmicks,
gets
usually.
excluded from any of this stuff.
They get a pass.
Their Game Pass equivalent is straight trash, but buy it anyway.
I'll buy it anyway. But yeah, so I just want it on PC. But I think it's a good idea. I just hope that they do end up now that they're putting their exclusives on PC. I would like it if they put this potential version of PlayStation Game Pass also for PC. That's what I got.
Interesting. It's possible.
I think this is nothing but a positive for the industry. I think Xbox have one of Xbox's only things that they have going for them, and I'm probably going to get shit for this, is Game Pass.
You're correct.
It's the only thing that is eking them out. If they did not have Game Pass, I reckon Xbox would be dead.
You're
I
spitting.
reckon they wouldn't exist anymore.
You may have a legitimate argument there.
100% argument.
And when I say that, I feel like sounds like I'm bashing Xbox. Game Pass is incredible. It's incredibly affordable, and it's allowing a lot of games to be made that wouldn't have otherwise. They're getting funding to be exclusively on Game Pass. It's allowing a lot of people to access them. And talking about exclusives, PlayStation are only a thing mainly because they make really, really, really good exclusives. So some of the best games to come out recently have been PlayStation exclusives, and that's because they are actively funding them to draw people to their service. Now, if we take Game Pass, because I think it would have to be on PC to compete with Xbox Game Pass. I think they would have to dual it on their console and also on PC, and they've already been doing this. They've got their PlayStation Play,
Now?
the streaming service.
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Now, so they've already effectively been trialing this system. What this is going to do is, one, it's going to give competition against Xbox. So they're going to be competing, and that's really healthy. That means they're going to be paying out more money for developers to come to them, which is giving the developers more funding, which is allowing more jobs in the industry. It's really positive. And also, I think some really interesting and out there exclusives are going to get funded specifically for this service. And I think that's just really positive for Xbox and PlayStation. It's just more games are going to get made, more jobs are going to be made, and effectively some people might not like the fact that it's a paid service, but if you imagine you buy both and they're both $10, I don't know how much it is in America. Game Pass,
Game Pass Ultimate is $15, regular one is $10.
Okay, unless you keep renewing at the $1 deal.
Imagine if you got both Xbox and PlayStation effectively Game Pass for both, and you paid $20. You are effectively paying 1/3 of the price of one retail game for two services that are going to give you thousands of games that are going to support the industry and pump loads of money into it. I think this is really good as long as it's also on PC. It needs to be on their consoles and on PC to compete. I think it's fantastic.
Okay. How about you, Jesse? What's your initial reaction to this news?
Uh, I, I feel like positive mostly. What Jumaid is saying, where if this is made to give developers more money, more exposure, uh, more light to be seen, I think that is positive. So I like that. I think as a service, the digital streaming service, I have my gripes with Xbox Game Pass, but ultimately, I think it's a good design to do because digital sales are based on like the model of physical sales, where you had to print a disc, put it in a store, and then sell it, and then you had that. But we've moved beyond that. Digital sales are a completely different thing, but we still base it on this at this point draconian metric of physical sales, where something like a subscription service where you do not have that, you do not have a physical disc, it is on there, it is downloaded, you have to pay for the infrastructure, but it is such a different setup that we can do something like a subscription service. So I know some people get upset because like everything's going to streaming, and like I do that sometimes too. That's fair, but it can't really help because like you were saying, you are paying. If they're both $15 a month for me, I pay $30 a month. I do have access to a lot of games for the price of at least half a new game a month. That's pretty cool. Issues being, okay, at what point does this become uh favoritism? So like when do these things become stagnant? Either because they're shoveling a lot of low effort trash into them to pad their numbers, a la Amazon Prime streaming. There's so many. I mean, there are. I love some horrible movies. Like I like those. We had a budget of $10 and some friends and a camera fantasy films.
Yeah.
And everybody watched Lord of the Rings and was like, we should try this. I like those. I love watching those. Some of them are not worth watching, but a lot of them are just a hoot. But those absolutely pad out like Amazon's playlist versus something like Netflix, which has a lot more better quality things. And I think Lampy was saying this in the chat, where even Xbox Now is padded with a lot of stuff that came out. So I feel like we have to work to make those better, and that those could easily fall into those, or just saying, well, we like these big companies, we're going to give them exclusive deals, they're going to underpay staff to churn out low effort stuff, but it's going to help us out. And then because everybody's paying for subscription service, people aren't going to buy the games on their own, and now the companies that are actually doing the experimental good stuff and should be getting recognition are getting ignored because they're not part of that system. So it could lead to a horrible dystopia, sure. But it could be good. Also, I feel like it could survive on its own without PC. I would like, because I have a PC, but that's its own separate market. I think if it just stayed on PlayStation, it could work and be financially successful for them. And that for the PC market, after they get their sales and their subscriptions of who's going to buy a PS4 or PS5 to play God of War, now they make that money on the PC market by selling it and keep those separate.
I agree with Jesse. I don't think PlayStation. Well, I don't think PlayStation thinks they need the PC market. Like, I feel like the fact that it took them this long to even attempt to formally make a Game Pass competitor shows that PlayStation is still very high and mighty. Like, they think they're untouchable, and they have been for a very long time. But like, times have changed. Xbox has been catching up based on their services, and Sony has been very slow to adapt. Just to kind of address some of the stuff that's been going on in the chat, Lampy was saying that Game Pass kind of has a quality problem, that there's a lot of stuff on there, but most of it is actually trash. I kind of disagree with that. I think there's a lot more okay games on there than people give them credit for. Like, everything that isn't the best isn't automatically trash. And there are like a lot of really good games that get no play that have been on a Game Pass. Like Minute, for example, one of the favorite games I played a couple years ago. I just randomly, because of its art style, downloaded it on Game Pass and played through the whole thing like within 2 days because it was that engaging, and like no one was talking about that game as far as I could see. And I read the freaking gaming news, but it was there, it was available, and it was good. I think just like how Amazon has, they pad their stuff, Netflix does too. Netflix has a lot of quality content, but they do pad it with straight up garbage because people watch that shit. So like you need it, like you need the padding. And I do think Sony is so pompous as to think that they can just fill their Game Pass service with what they consider to be the highest of quality games, and then you run into a situation like DC Universe, their streaming service, where it was supposed to just be DC comics, TV shows, and movies and stuff like that. And like there wasn't enough content. The biggest DC fans in the world went to get it. They ran through everything that was on there, and then they were paying a monthly service for nothing, and that service shut down. All that stuff ended up on HBO Max.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like Sony, and I don't think Sony will put like their first party exclusives, like the stuff that is their bread and butter, because like J-Mate said, like they live and breathe off of the quality of their exclusives. I don't think they'll want to devalue them in that way by just throwing them into their monthly service. That'll still be its own separate thing. And if it's not, you're going to be paying a stupid amount for their monthly service. It's not going to be Game Pass affordable. It's going to be ridiculous because they think they've earned that amount of money from you. Go ahead, Ash.
I completely agree. I think they should at least give me a discount.
Why,
if I'm subscribed to because I'm subscribed to basically the PlayStation plus the Game Pass thing. If they don't like put it together like Game Pass Ultimate, where you can play, because you get Ultimate, that lets you play online with other people because it includes gold in it, basically, right? It includes gold. So tier. If they basically include PlayStation Plus, I guess, into their Game Pass thing, it's going to cost more than what PlayStation Plus would cost. So they put that together. Oh, they're merging Plus and Now into their new thing. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, wait, so you can't download it like on Game Pass? It'll be strictly streaming then? Or does Now let you download? I've never used it.
Now does let you download some stuff, I believe.
Okay.
Like, because like they've been trying to use Now as their Game Pass equivalent. It's just not good enough.
Right.
But like I think the big draw for this service is their back catalog. Like I don't think Sony is going to be focusing on the new stuff, which is what is so exciting about Game Pass, is that you're getting new games or games that have released, like maybe several months ago, a couple years ago. Those games show up on Game Pass. I think Sony is saying like, hey, get our PS1 library, get our PS2 library, get our especially elusive PS3 library all in one place.
So they're trying to do a better Switch Online.
Yes, well, I think that's where they're going to focus this service on, and their new stuff will still be this high, quality thing that you will happily pay $70 for because it's a Sony exclusive.
Go ahead, Jermaine.
It depends, right? Because if this is marketed as a competitor for Game Pass, it has to compete with it. So it has to be bringing new content in. And the topic of not thinking that PlayStation are going to bring in that padding. Have you looked at the PlayStation Store recently? It is full of shit. Like asset flip games that have been made in a week, like Life of Black Tiger, and games like that, which have had advertising on the official PlayStation Store. They pump out shit games all the time. So they could put this, like, we were talking about them padding, Xbox padding, and them having low quality things. Yes, there are low quality games on Xbox Game Pass. That is true. But there are also incredibly good gems, like you found, like Minute. There are these gems, and they wouldn't be getting that light if it wasn't on that system. I don't know. I think this service would basically live or die based on whether they did put their big exclusives on it. And
yeah, I agree. Yeah, because that's what made Game Pass so attractive, right? They was like, hey, look, every first-party studio we own is going to have games day and date on this service. That's mind-blowing. And even at the time, everyone was talking trash about what Microsoft had to offer as first-party exclusives, right? It was the promise that these will eventually get good. It was still enough for people to get excited.
And
now
now
that
swaying.
they're actually starting to release stuff that people like, it's like, oh, the value keeps increasing without the cost increasing.
Like Halo
Like
Infinite.
if Sony were to say that, every
Like
single
Fable.
Sony PlayStation owner would buy this thing immediately. If they're like, oh, all of these new Sony games are gonna be on my thing, I'm in there. But Sony won't say that. They think way
That's
too
why they need
highly
to
of
give me a
their
discount.
output.
I think Casey hit the nail on the head. It's Sony's opinion of themselves is going to stop this being great. It's Sony thinking that they are too good for that. Their exclusives are too good to be put on this service, and they need to sell them separately. Is what would
Like,
if
I
they
hope
did it
I'm
this
wrong.
way-
I mean, the
hope I'm wrong.
PS3 was
I
the PS3
hope
was
they do that.
$600, so
Yeah, it's making Xbox so much money, and Game Pass, and bringing so many people to that service. They must be raking in money because nearly everyone I know has Game Pass. They must be absolutely raking in money, and over time, over a year or two, they're making infinitely more money than selling a certain amount of copies of, say, one game for $60. They must be making so much money to the point where PlayStation are finally taking notice. And they're probably only taking notice because they've seen some sales figures. They've seen how much money it's making. And they're like, how do we do this? And I think they need that exclusive. Like, imagine if they announced that God of War Ragnarok is the opening title for this.
day one release.
Like, I'm paying the price. Like, that's ridiculous.
Millions,
like, yes, do that.
Sales. And it's also on PC, and it can be played in 4K.
Jermaine,
Like,
sign me
everyone
up.
use their shit.
don't do that.
It's like
I only have a
they would
1070
lose
Ti. It's not gonna make
really
it.
would. But a lot of people are transitioning to PC anyway because my PC does twice of what the new Xbox or PS5 does, and they need to transition to get these games, like, expand the market. You've got such a huge PC market that you could be capitalizing on. Get those games on PC while still getting money from your own service, because they don't want to give money to Steam. That's one of the reasons. When you sell games on Steam, you have to give percentages to them, and it's ridiculous. So they don't want that. They want you on their service where they take all of the revenue. So
That's why.
we'll see. We'll see what they do. Like, I think this could be huge. This could be one of the best things to happen to the industry in a long time if they start competing and they start battling again.
If they do it right, this could absolutely upend everything about how video games are sold.
Even better,
I can't get my hopes up too high, because the last time I did, we had the Google Stadia problem. where I was like, look, Google has the right idea. Pay attention to Google, and Google botched it. Because they just didn't do what they should have done, which was copy Microsoft. Sony, copy Microsoft. Please.
I think an issue that Sony might have for why they don't go to PC is anything they put on PC is going to make Microsoft money, because we're all using Windows.
Well, anything that they use on their streaming service, if their Game Pass thing copies what's the name, would also give Microsoft money, because they're going to be using their Azure platform, which is their whole streaming backend.
Oh, do they? Oh,
yeah, they're in bed together already.
Dang. All right, well then maybe we'll come. That actually makes me think it will come to PC more if them giving them some of the money because of the OS that's being used. Then
you know what else they could start doing, which I would also be okay with, because it would just inevitably make things easier for me. I also have Ubisoft Connect Plus and EA Play Pro. So if they wanted to start competing by buying other publishers and developers streaming services, so Sony's like, hey, guess what, guys? All Ubisoft games are on our stuff. I'm like, oh, what you gonna do?
No,
with
that
Xbox?
would make a lot of sense, because Xbox has EA Play mixed in with Game Pass Ultimate. So that's a thing already.
Save me money.
So yeah,
save me money. I only want to pay for two Game Pass streaming services, and this is the Xbox and Sony's. Make it happen.
And that competition is going to lead to that, right?
I'm going to counterpoint that, because like if I see an EA game, I downloaded Dead Space. I have a trial for Game Pass, because Jmate, I'm the person who that doesn't have Game Pass, except for right now because it's free. But that'll be over in a month, so I won't have it again.
Yeah.
So when I was like, oh, let me try Dead Space. It's on here. Wow, what a deal. I get to play this game that I never played before. And I downloaded it. A, ooh, it's buggy as heck. But B, I had to reinstall Origin to play it. I have to have the stupid Ubisoft thing on my system so I can play Rainbow Six on Steam. If I see a streaming service, they're like, we got the Ubisoft stuff. That's an anti-sale to me because I know I have to put up with their shit in order to play those games. It's not worth it.
Yeah, that is on the PC
lost
side.
Value.
Though. That's on the PC side, though. To be fair.
Mm-hmm. So if they did, so if it's only PlayStation, then it's like, well, that's cool. I don't have to put up with it. It's already installed or whatever.
But yeah. Oh, and also, I was gonna say because Ubisoft and EA do give discounts when you're on their subs towards the actual, like, if you want to purchase the game. So that's why I was saying I would like it if they like for Sony, because like you said, I actually if Sony still, and they always still felt like they still had kind of had the PlayStation 3, we're on top, we can charge what we want mentality. I would like it even if they do, charge whatever, they try to keep it to a respectable price for their little Game Pass service. But if they have tiers, if you're on the highest tier, you get maybe like a 15-20% off when the new titles come out or something. Or you can even get like vouchers. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I remember back in the day for some subs, they'll be like every couple of months you get like a little voucher for $10 off, right? Just because you've been subbed for us for this amount of time.
The Epic Game Store does that. Yeah, Xbox does do something like that.
Epic does it.
I'm on Game Pass now. I'm gonna check.
And I know I was saying about I used to be subscribed to GameFly as a child. I used to love GameFly. I miss you, GameFly.
No, yeah, GameFly was useful back in the day.
Oh man,
GameFly would give me. They're like, hey, you've been a member with GameFly for this long. Here's $15 off a game if you want to purchase it.
I remember.
Like
that,
even if you don't give me like a consistent always certain percentage off like EA does or whatever, if you could at least give me like every now and again the same way you give out free games for PlayStation Plus, just be like, hey, here's a little 10% off if you want to go buy that new God of War that came out.
Xbox do that too. So Halo 3 ODST, it's £3.99 here.
Oh
but
yeah, Xbox does Game Pass gives you a discount
on here because I get discount because of Game Pass.
Yeah. So they should
I
at least give me a
they're
discount.
Gonna do. The thing is, it's like, look, from my perspective, if they just hard copy Xbox, this is going to be fantastic.
Like seriously.
But Sony are too up their own ass to do that. They're like, we're better than this. We're going to remove features.
Seriously,
right? And hopefully it's going to sell as well. We're just going to remove everything that they like about it, and then everyone's going to buy it. It's going to be great. That's what they think.
Yeah, like they refuse to actually see Microsoft's Xbox division as competition. Like they know that they're in the same market, but they don't think of them as competition. Like if anything, they're like, okay, Nintendo is who we're competing with, but we can't really compete with Nintendo because they do whatever they want and get away with it.
They really do whatever they want.
Yeah. So like they want to be Nintendo. They don't want to have to be considered rivals to Microsoft. But if they just acted like Microsoft was their rival, they would do so well. So much better than they're doing right now. Like, and they're doing great.
Yeah. Like
so like that just leads them to believe that they don't have to. Like they don't have to acknowledge that Microsoft is their actual competition versus Nintendo, because Nintendo is in their own world.
It's a pride thing. It's pride.
Yeah, it is.
It's too much.
It's ever since Nintendo didn't finish that deal with Sony way back in the day, and they're still upset about it.
It's the pettiness. Like
It's
they
the
still
pettiness.
hold that grudge.
They just want to phase Nintendo out, make Nintendo have to come to Sony like, let us be under you, let us put our games, our first party Nintendo games. We want the Legend of Zelda to be on the PlayStation. Please help us, Sony. And it'll be like, yes, finally. Oh my God, I was about to pull out the voice. That was gonna be bad. People were gonna be mad at me. It's not. It's not even to be offensive. I just wanted to be like the stereotypical evil Japanese dude in a movie. I was going for that, but I figured people would just be like, oh wow, look how racist Ash is. I'm like, no.
Glasses suddenly get the reflection.
Yeah. Ching. Nice to see you. We knew you'd be back.
So yeah, so I think we're all in agreement that this is a good thing for the industry, but chances are high that Sony's gonna botch it in some way. But that remains to be seen.
That means they'll fix it a year later, and then it'll be good. Sorry, we'll just wait.
Not even like they never fixed the Vita or the PS.
That's right, Lampy.
Way to bring that up.
I mean, so Sony has a track record of making horrible mistakes that they just try to move on from rather than fix. So like I don't know, like PlayStation Now
and
was one of those mistakes.
Xbox have never done that.
Yeah, like I say, I feel like that's just when you're that size of a company, that's just what's going to happen. You're going to make some billion-dollar mistakes, and then you're going to be like, good thing I made these 3 other billion-dollar successes. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's forget that ever happened. But all right, that makes sense. That's going to take us to the end of today's show. Real quick, let's sign out. Ash, that's your name. What
That's
do you got coming
me.
up that folks can check out? What do you want them to see?
Well, guys, it's finally going to be out of this dry spell, I believe. Tomorrow, if I don't do something today will be a spur of the moment, so I'm not gonna quote anything. But if you see me go live, just show up. It doesn't matter. I'm playing. Just be there. You haven't nothing better to do. Don't lie to me. Tomorrow, Monday, that goes for you too, Casey. I see Casey's like, I mean, I kind of have stuff to do today. No,
I mean, I'll
have
be
a
there.
game
If
to
I see
run.
you on, I will
No.
put you on in the background.
I'll take a lurk. Lurks are accepted. Lurks are accepted. But tomorrow we'll be doing some more of the hardcore Pokemon Platinum Nuzlocke with my boys. I'm the only one who hasn't wiped it all yet, so I'm the GOAT.
So
don't let them know I said that. They'll come for me. No, not yet. They restarted. We're gonna keep going until we beat the game. Yeah. It's crazy. It's hard. It sucks. We're gonna be doing that. I'm definitely gonna be coming back to play some more Forza 5 during the week. I'm gonna hopefully say that I'll be on Tuesday. And then last but not least, I will be trying to play some Halo Infinite. I'll probably just honestly hop into TOP Discord and be like, hey, so who wants to teach me how to get good at Halo? So let's see if I can get people from the server to even get on there too.
Let's do it.
Oh, and last but not least, make sure you follow me at Ash Redux on Twitch, but also follow me on TikTok because I actually uploaded my first TikTok not too long ago, and it did surprisingly very well. Very proud of myself. So follow me on there. I went from 17 followers to 136 in like 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can't even tell you about the views and stuff, but like I bumped up heavy. So yeah, I was very happy with that. Don't say you, Lampy. Follow me on TikTok, please. Please, Lampy.
No, I'm looking. I've been looking at TikTok recently as well because my son has been bugging me about, hey, I want to do some TikTok stuff. I'm like, that might be a good idea.
Do the TikTok. It's good for your growth. Last but not least,
TikTok.
It is a really good algorithm. It has a really good algorithm, Lampy. But last but not least, before we switch off me, if anybody happens to get their hands on an extra, I know I said extra, not going to happen. But if you get your hands on an extra 3080, please contact me. I'm happy to pay for it. Please help me out. It's very hard for me to stream or record Vanguard. It's very hard. I'm not going to be able to keep up with games. Somebody help me. That is all. Thank you. Welcome to my TED Talk. Is done.
Service announcement. J-Mate, how about you? What do you got coming up that you want folks to check out?
Ooh, I have the first part of the Anatomy of Dark Souls coming out on The Escapist. Check that out.
Yes.
Put like 5 weeks into making part 1 and 2 of that. I'm very, very proud of it. And I also have on Tuesday on my Twitch, twitch.tv/itsjamate. On Tuesday, I have a joint celebration stream. Going to be celebrating hitting 100k on one of my videos, which is a huge achievement for me. I was used to getting like upwards of 5k on my channel. To come work with these guys and get 100k on a video just blew my mind. So I'm going to be celebrating that. And also it's a joint celebration because the day after is my birthday. So we're going to be probably having a bit of a drink, playing some party games. So if you're down for that, come to my Twitch on Tuesday evening and I'll see you then. That's me.
Jamae right now. I'll follow Jamae right now.
Jesse, how's about you? What do you got coming up?
Oh man, I should start doing like a short stream on Sundays after this and before the Smash stream so that we could raid you in there afterwards. But I'm not today. Nice. I should do that. I might start doing that. That seems like a smart move. But tomorrow I will be streaming, so you can follow me over on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/RexconJesse. All my stuff is on Twitter as well, which is RexconJesse. Everything is RexconJesse. Itch.io RexconJesse. My printer has been running nonstop doing grinder bins. I have, I think,
I thought you were going to say your printer is called Rexicon-Jesse.
I should name it that. I have like 80 books getting pressed right there now that I'm going to mail out soon. So, Lampy says OnlyFans Rexicon-Jesse. Yeah, get me on there. So yeah, streaming, doing that, and then Grinderbrin's Mobile Market of Ridiculous Magic Items will come out this month. If you are interested in buying that, if you play tabletop RPGs, it is fun book. Oh yeah, I have a Patreon. Thanks for reminding me, Lampy. That's actually Jesse Galena, not Rexicon Jesse. Changed it up. And I have my Discord, which is the Tyranno Chorus, that you're welcome to join as well. That's
Nice.
it. There's probably more. Adventure is Nigh. That's a thing. There's more.
Yeah.
I
let's
do.
go.
I do too much. I'm just gonna stop talking now.
On that note,
I don't
you guys can follow
sleep.
me at SigmaGears9 on Twitch and Twitter. Twitter is usually where I post links to whatever I'm up to lately. Though it's hard to keep track as well because, like Jesse said, like there's a lot of crap happening.
It's so much.
There's so much stuff happening. Check us out on the open party later today, though. 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing Super Smash Sunday. That's right after the Persona stream starts with Nick and Marty. But we last for 3 hours. So when they're done, if you're watching them, like if you're not watching us both, which you should be doing, just watch both streams at the same time. It won't break your brain, I promise.
Multi-box.
Yeah.
If you're just watching them, just head on over to us after for our final hour. And like I mentioned, if we get rated from the Persona stream, I will exclusively play as Joker in Smash from that point to the end of the stream. just to keep the Persona vibes going. But also outside of that, I should have a new review coming at some point this week. The Breakout podcast with Nick and Marty on Wednesdays. There's something else. Oh, the Video Game Awards. We're going to be co-streaming that. Me, Nick, and Marty. I think that's Tuesday, right? The Game Awards.
Yeah,
I think
the
that's
8th,
Tuesday.
right?
I don't know. It's probably Tuesday.
It's a
Tuesday
time.
sounds right, but I'm not
me see.
positive.
Wednesday.
Okay. So on Wednesday, we'll be co-streaming the Game Awards, so check that out. And we'll be starting Dead Space 2 this Friday, me and Marty. So we'll be going through that and Dead Space 3, which will be co-op once we get to that, since you guys funded that over on The Escapist. So that should be fun.
I like Thursday.
So
December
Thursday,
9th, Thursday.
Not Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday is the VGA thing. But TGA, sorry, the Game Awards, not VGA. VGA is an old connection port option. Sorry, this is...
That's right.
I don't know.
AMI
My brain just goes to shit when I... Anyway, we're at the end of the show. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for coming through. Thanks to all my hosts. Bye. Peace. See you next time.
Your team.
Hi, everybody.
See ya.